Dr. Rebecca Thompson had always loved the quiet nights on her small ranch in Montana. After 12 years of working as a veterinarian, she found peace in the silence that surrounded her property. The nearest neighbor lived 5 miles away, which was exactly how she liked it. Her days were filled with caring for sick animals, and her evenings were spent reading books on her front porch. That Tuesday night in September started like any other. Rebecca had just finished her dinner and was washing dishes when something strange caught her eye through the kitchen window. The sky above her barn was glowing with colors she had never seen before. It wasn't lightning, and it definitely wasn't the northern lights she sometimes saw in winter. This was different. Blues and purples swirled together like paint mixing. In water, she stepped outside to get a better look, and that's when she heard it. A soft humming sound, almost like music, seemed to be coming from somewhere in her backyard. The strange lights lasted only a few minutes before fading away, leaving the night darker than usual. The humming stopped too, and everything went silent. Again, Rebecca thought about going back inside, but something made her grab a flashlight from the porch. She had a feeling she needed to check on her animals. Sometimes wild creatures got scared during storms, and whatever just happened might have frightened them. She walked toward her small barn, shining the light ahead of her. Her 3 horses seemed calm in their stalls, and her old dog Max was sleeping peacefully in his favorite spot. Nothing seemed wrong, but she decided to check the garden behind the house anyway. That's where she found her. In the middle of Rebecca's vegetable garden, lying among the tomato plants, was a small child. She couldn't have been more than 8 years old. Rebecca's heart started racing as she ran toward the little girl, dropping to her knees beside her. The child was unconscious but breathing. Her clothes were strange. They looked like they were made from some kind of shimmery material that Rebecca had never seen before. But what really caught her attention was the girl's hair. It was silver. Not gray like an old person's hair, but actually silver like metal. It seemed to catch the moonlight and reflect it back. Rebecca gently picked up the child, surprised by how light she felt. The girl's skin was pale, almost see-through, and cool to the touch. Rebecca carried her into the house and laid her on the couch, covering her with a warm blanket. She checked for injuries but found none. The child seemed perfectly healthy, just deeply asleep. Rebecca sat in her chair nearby, wondering what to do. Should she call the police, the hospital? But something inside her said to wait. This didn't feel like a normal situation, and she wanted to see if the child would wake up on her own dot around midnight. The little girl's eyes slowly opened. They were the most beautiful blue Rebecca had ever seen, like looking at a clear sky on a perfect summer day. The child sat up slowly, looking around the room with curiosity rather than fear. When she saw Rebecca, she tilted her head to one side and said something in a language Rebecca had never heard before. It sounded almost like singing, with soft, flowing sounds that seemed to dance in the air. "Hello there," Rebecca said gently, moving her chair closer to the couch. "I'm Rebecca. I found you in my garden. Are you hurt?" The child looked at her with those amazing blue eyes and spoke again in the same musical language. She didn't seem scared at all, which Rebecca found both comforting and puzzling. Most children would be crying for their parents by now. Rebecca went to the kitchen to get some water and crackers, thinking the child might be hungry. When she came back, the little girl was standing by the window, looking out at the night sky with an expression that seemed almost like homesickness. As Rebecca approached with the food, she accidentally knocked over a glass on the coffee table. It shattered, and a sharp piece cut her hand. She gasped and looked down at the blood running down her finger. What happened next would change everything Rebecca thought she knew about the world. The child immediately came over and gently took Rebecca's injured hand in both of hers. She closed her eyes and began making that soft humming sound Rebecca had heard outside. A warm, tingling feeling spread through Rebecca's hand, and when she looked down, the cut was completely gone. There wasn't even a scar. Rebecca stared at her hand, then at the child, then back at her hand. This wasn't possible. People didn't just heal cuts by touching them. But the evidence was right there, or rather, it wasn't there anymore. The little girl smiled at her, a sweet, innocent smile that somehow made everything seem okay. She pointed to herself and said what sounded like Luna. Then she pointed to Rebecca and repeated Rebecca in her musical voice, pronouncing it perfectly even though she had only heard it once. Over the next few hours, Rebecca and Luna, as she decided to call her, began to communicate in their own special way. Luna seemed to understand emotions and intentions better than words. When Rebecca felt confused, Luna would pat her hand gently. When Rebecca felt amazed by something Luna did, the child would smile proudly. As the sun began to rise, Rebecca made a decision that would change both of their lives forever. She couldn't take Luna to the authorities, not when the child could do impossible things. People wouldn't understand. They might take Luna away and do tests on her, or worse. Luna seemed to sense Rebecca's thoughts because she came over and hugged her tightly. In that moment, Rebecca felt something she hadn't experienced in years, the overwhelming need to protect someone she loved. That morning, Rebecca called her clinic and told them she was taking a few days off for a family emergency. It wasn't really a lie. This was definitely an emergency, and somehow, Luna already felt like family. Rebecca spent those first few days learning about her new house guest. Luna was incredibly smart and learned English words quickly. She loved animals and seemed to know instinctively when they were hurt or scared. Max, Rebecca's old dog who usually barked at strangers, took to Luna immediately, following her around the house like a faithful guardian. The most amazing thing was how Luna affected the animals that came to Rebecca's clinic. A frightened cat would calm down the moment Luna entered the room. An injured bird would stop struggling when Luna gently touched its wing. It was like she could speak to them in a way that humans had forgotten how to do. After a week of trying to figure out what to do, Rebecca made the call to social services. She told them she had found an abandoned child and wanted to help. When the social worker arrived, Luna hid her more unusual abilities, appearing to be nothing more than a very smart, very quiet little girl who didn't speak much English. The social worker, Mrs. Peterson, was kind but thorough. She asked Luna questions, but the child would only nod or shake her head, occasionally whispering a word or two in English. There were no missing children reports that matched Luna's description, and no one came forward to claim her. She seems very attached to you, Mrs. Peterson observed, watching as Luna stayed close to Rebecca throughout the interview. And you seem quite taken with her as well. Rebecca nodded. I can't explain it, but from the moment I found her, I felt like I was meant to take care of her. She's been through something terrible. I can see it in her eyes. She needs stability and love, and I can give her that. The process took several months, but eventually, Rebecca was approved to foster Luna with the intention of adopting her. The paperwork was completed, the home visits were passed, and officially, Luna became part of Rebecca's family. But Rebecca knew that this was just the beginning of their story together. Luna was special in ways that no government form could document, and Rebecca had a feeling that their quiet life in Montana was about to become much more interesting. As she tucked Luna into bed that first official night as her foster daughter, Rebecca whispered, "Welcome home, sweetheart." Luna smiled and whispered back in perfect English, "Thank you, Mama." It was the first time she had called Rebecca that, and it wouldn't be the last. They were family now, brought together by forces neither of them fully understood, but bonded by love that was completely real. 5 years had passed since that magical night when Rebecca found Luna in her garden. Now 13 years old, Luna had grown into a beautiful teenager with that same silver hair that still shimmered. In the moonlight, she spoke English perfectly. Now, though sometimes when she was excited or upset, she would slip back into that musical language from her childhood. Rebecca had kept detailed journals about Luna's growth over the years. Every strange thing, every wonderful moment, every challenge they faced together, she wrote it all down. She had a feeling that someday, these notes might be important. Life in their small Montana town had settled into a comfortable rhythm. Luna attended the local middle school where she was known as the smartest kid in her grade. Her teachers were amazed by how quickly she learned everything, especially science and math. She could solve problems in ways that even confused the adults, often coming up with answers that were correct but arrived at through methods no one had ever seen before. "How did you know that?" her math teacher, Mr. Rodriguez, asked one day after Luna solved the complex equation in seconds. Luna just shrugged and smiled. "It makes sense to me. Numbers are like music. They have patterns." But being different wasn't always easy for Luna. While other kids her age were worried about social media and friends, Luna struggled with things that no normal teenager ever had to deal with. Her silver hair grew incredibly fast. Rebecca had to trim it every few weeks, or it would reach her shoulders, and there were times when it seemed to glow, especially during full moons. The hardest part was the mood swings that seemed connected to things happening in space. Luna had learned to use a star chart and would often predict her own difficult days by looking at when planets would be in certain positions. During these times, she would become sad and restless, staring out her bedroom window at the night sky, with tears in her eyes. "I feel so lonely sometimes, Mom," Luna confided to Rebecca one evening after a particularly hard day. "It's like there's a part of me that remembers being somewhere else, with people who understood me." Rebecca would hold her daughter close during these moments, wishing she could take away that deep sadness. "You're not alone, sweetheart. You have me, and you always will." Luna's abilities had grown stronger over the years too. She could now sense when people were sick or hurt from across the room. At Rebecca's veterinary clinic, she had become an unofficial assistant, somehow knowing exactly what each animal needed before Rebecca even examined them. "That horse has a sore back leg," Luna would whisper, and sure enough, Rebecca would find exactly what Luna had sensed. "The cat is scared because her stomach hurts," and the examination would confirm stomach problems. The townspeople had grown used to Luna's special way with animals. They just thought she was naturally gifted, like some people are with music or art. They had no idea that she could actually feel what the animals were feeling, or that she sometimes stayed up all night healing injured wildlife that found their way to the ranch. Rebecca had made close friends with a few people who knew more about Luna's true nature. Dr. Patricia Wells, who ran the local library, helped Rebecca research unexplained phenomena in UFO sightings. Tom Bradley, a retired astronomy professor who lived nearby, taught Luna about stars and planets. Amazed by her instinctive understanding of cosmic events. "That girl knows things about space that I didn't learn until graduate school," Tom told Rebecca privately. "Sometimes when she looks at the stars, it's like she's seeing old friends." The most challenging part of raising Luna was protecting her secret, while still letting her be a normal teenager. During thunderstorms, Luna would become terrified and hide in the basement, shaking and speaking rapidly in her native language. She refused to go outside during certain moon phases, claiming the light made her feel too exposed. At school, Luna tried hard to fit in, but it wasn't always successful. She was kind to everyone and never said anything mean, but she struggled to understand typical teenage drama. When her classmates gossiped or said hurtful things about each other, Luna would look genuinely confused. Why would Ashley say those things about Jennifer when she doesn't really mean them? Luna asked Rebecca after a particularly dramatic day at school. Her heart feels sad when she says mean words, so why does she keep doing it? Rebecca tried to explain that sometimes people hurt others when they're hurting inside, but Luna's pure heart had trouble accepting that concept. She saw emotions as colors and energies, and she couldn't understand why anyone would choose to create dark, painful colors when they could make bright, happy ones instead. Despite these challenges, Luna had made a few close friends who appreciated her gentle nature. Katie Morris, whose family ran the local bakery, loved how Luna always seemed to know the right thing to say when she was upset. David Chen, whose father owned the hardware store, enjoyed Luna's help with his science projects, even though he never understood how she made everything seem so easy. The dreams had started about a year ago. Luna would wake up in the middle of the night, tears streaming down her face, talking about visions of a beautiful world with purple skies and silver cities. She described flying creatures that sang in harmonies and plants that glow with their own light. I see a woman who looks like me, Luna told Rebecca one morning after a particularly vivid dream. She has my hair and my eyes, and she's calling my name. But she's so far away, and I can never reach her. Rebecca felt her heart break a little each time Luna described these dreams. She suspected they might be more than just imagination, but she didn't know what to do about them. She had researched everything she could find about unexplained phenomena, UFO sightings, and even government cover-ups, but nothing gave her clear answers. Meanwhile, Luna's healing abilities were becoming harder to hide. Last month, when Katie had fallen off her bike and scraped her knee badly, Luna had instinctively reached out and touched the wound. Within minutes, the scrape had healed completely, leaving Katie staring in amazement. "How did you do that?" Katie had whispered. "I don't know," Luna replied honestly. "I just wanted you to feel better." Rebecca knew they couldn't keep Luna's secret forever. The older she got, the stronger her abilities became, and the harder it was to explain away the miraculous things that happened around her. But she also knew that the world wasn't ready for someone like Luna. People would either want to study her like a science experiment or fear her as something dangerous. For now, their quiet life in Montana was perfect. Luna was happy most of the time, doing well in school, and surrounded by people who cared about her. Rebecca had created a safe haven where her extraordinary daughter could grow up as normally as possible. But deep in her heart, Rebecca knew that this peaceful time wouldn't last forever. The dreams were getting stronger. Luna's abilities were growing, and something in the way her daughter looked at the stars told her that big changes were coming. Every night, as she tucked Luna into bed, Rebecca whispered a silent prayer to whatever forces had brought this amazing child into her life. She prayed for more time, for continued safety, and for the strength to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Luna was special, and Rebecca would do anything to protect her, even if it meant facing the impossible. Luna was now 16, and her abilities had grown stronger than ever. Rebecca watched her daughter with a mixture of pride and worry as she helped injured animals at the clinic with skills that seemed to come from somewhere beyond this world. Luna could sense pain from rooms away, and her healing touch had become so powerful that Rebecca had to be careful about which cases she let Luna help with. The star sickness, as Luna called it, had become more frequent. These were periods when Luna would become weak and tired, usually when certain planets aligned in ways that Rebecca didn't fully understand. During these times, Luna would spend hours lying in the backyard, staring up at the night sky as if she were trying to communicate with something far away. "It's getting stronger, Mom," Luna said one evening after a particularly difficult episode. "The feeling that I don't belong here. I love you more than anything, but sometimes I feel like part of me is missing." Rebecca had spent years quietly, consulting with scientists and astronomers, trying to understand what was happening to her daughter. Dr. Patricia Wells had helped her contact researchers who studied unexplained phenomena, but none of them had answers that made sense. They all agreed that Luna was special, but no one could explain why or what it meant. That Tuesday evening in October started like any other. Rebecca was making Luna's favorite dinner, homemade pizza with vegetables from their garden, while Luna sat at the kitchen table working on her chemistry homework. The house felt peaceful and warm, filled with the comfortable silence of a family that understood each other perfectly. Luna suddenly looked up from her books, her blue eyes wide with surprise. "Mom, someone's coming," she said quietly. "Someone." Who feels are familiar? Before Rebecca could ask what she meant, there was a soft knock at the front door. Not the heavy pounding of a delivery person or the casual rap of a neighbor, but a gentle, almost hesitant sound. Rebecca wiped her hands on her apron and walked to the door, Luna following close behind. When she opened it, Rebecca felt her breath catch in her throat. Standing on their porch was a woman who looked like an older version of Luna. She had the same silver hair, though longer and somehow more radiant. Her skin had the same pale, almost translucent quality, and her eyes were the exact same stunning blue. She was tall and graceful, wearing clothes that seemed to shimmer in the porch light, made from material that Rebecca had never seen before. The woman looked at Rebecca with eyes filled with hope and fear, then her gaze shifted to Luna. When she saw the teenager, tears began flowing down her cheeks, and she whispered something in that musical language Luna had spoken as a child. Luna gasped and stepped forward, her own eyes filling with tears. She responded in the same flowing language, words tumbling out as if she had been waiting her whole life to speak them. Luna, who is this? Rebecca asked, though somewhere deep in her heart, she already knew the answer. The woman looked at Rebecca with gratitude and respect, then spoke in careful, accented English. I am Zara. I am Luna's mother, her birth mother. The words hit Rebecca like a physical blow. She had always known this day might come, but she had hoped they would have more time. Luna was still speaking rapidly in the alien language, and Zara was responding with equal emotion, both of them crying and laughing at the same time. Please, Zara said to Rebecca, may I come inside? I have traveled very far to find my daughter, and there is much I must tell you both. Rebecca's first instinct was to protect Luna, to close the door and pretend this wasn't happening. But when she saw the joy on her daughter's face, she knew she couldn't do that. Luna deserved to know where she came from, even if it meant Rebecca's world was about to change forever. They sat in the living room, Luna between her two mothers, translating when needed. Zara's English was limited but improving with each sentence, as if being near Luna was helping her remember the language. My world, Zara began, her voice heavy with sadness, was dying. A great disaster, like your sun exploding, was going to destroy everything. Our scientists said we had maybe 1 year before the end. Luna listened with wide eyes, occasionally asking questions in their shared language. Rebecca felt like she was watching a movie about someone else's life, except this was her life. And the daughter she loved was discovering truths that would change everything. I had to make an impossible choice, Zara continued. Save myself or save my baby. Our ships could only take few people, and journey was very dangerous. But Earth was far enough away to be safe. Rebecca's heart ached as she watched Zara's pain. You sent her here alone. She was just a baby. Was only way, Zara whispered, fresh tears falling. I put her in special pod that would protect her, keep her safe until she landed. I programmed it to find good person, someone with kind heart, who would love her. Luna reached over and took both women's hands. The pod found Mom, she said simply. It found exactly the right person. Zara looked at Rebecca with deep gratitude. I spent years searching for energy signature, following trails across space. When I finally found this planet, this place, I was so afraid. Afraid Luna would not remember me, afraid she would not want to see me. But you're here now, Luna said, squeezing her birth mother's hand. You found me. What happened to our world? Zara's expression grew even sadder. Gone. Everything gone. The disaster came sooner than expected. I barely escaped in small ship, but most of our people, she shook her head, unable to finish. The three of them sat in silence for a moment, processing the weight of what Zara had shared. Rebecca felt overwhelmed by emotions, sympathy for Zara's loss, fear about what this meant for her family, and deep love for both Luna and this woman who had sacrificed everything to save her child. I have nowhere to go, Zara said quietly. My ship is damaged from long journey. Cannot return to space. I hope maybe you will let me stay near Luna. Not to take her from you, she added quickly, seeing Rebecca's expression. I can see she loves you very much. You are her real mother in all ways that matter. Luna looked back and forth between her two mothers, her young heart breaking for both of them. Mom raised me and loved me and kept me safe, she said to Zara. But you gave me life and traveled across the universe to find me. You're both my mothers. Rebecca felt tears running down her cheeks as she looked at this strange, wonderful woman who had endured so much loss. Where would you stay? She asked. Anywhere, Zara replied. In town. In forest. It does not matter. I just want to be near my daughter, to know she is safe and happy. Luna suddenly stood up, her eyes bright with An idea that would change all their lives. What if you stayed here with us? We have that extra bedroom upstairs, and Mom always says our house is too quiet anyway. Both mothers stared at Luna, then at each other. The idea was crazy, impossible, and completely unprecedented. But as Rebecca looked at Zara's hopeful face and Luna's excited expression, she realized that maybe crazy and impossible were exactly what their family needed. "We'll try it for a while," Rebecca heard herself saying. "See how it works out." And just like that, their little family of two became a family of three, bound together by love that transcended planets and species. The first few weeks with Zara living in their home were some of the most challenging days Rebecca had ever experienced. She watched from the kitchen window as Luna and her birth mother sat in the garden together, speaking in that beautiful musical language, and felt a pain in her chest she had never felt before. Luna was so happy. Her smile was brighter than it had been in years, and the sadness that used to cloud her eyes during the star sickness episodes was gone. She would wake up excited each morning, eager to learn more about her heritage and the world she came from. But Rebecca couldn't shake the feeling that she was losing her daughter to someone who had a stronger claim to her love. "She calls her first mother in our language," Zara explained one evening as they prepared dinner together, "and she calls you heart mother. In my culture, heart mother is actually more important. You chose to love her when you didn't have to." Rebecca felt some of the tension in her shoulders relax. "Really, really?" Zara smiled. And Rebecca could see where Luna got her gentle nature. "My people believe that biology creates life, but love creates family. You created our family by loving Luna when she had no one." Slowly, Rebecca began to understand that Zara wasn't trying to take Luna away from her. Instead, she was trying to find her own place in the family they had already built. Zara would ask Rebecca's permission before teaching Luna anything new, and she always made sure to include Rebecca in their conversations. "Tell Heart Mother about the singing crystals," Zara would say when Luna got excited about something from their home world. Luna would light up and explain everything in English, making sure Rebecca felt included in every discovery. The most amazing thing was watching Luna flourish with both mothers in her life. Rebecca had given her stability, human values, and unconditional love. Zara was giving her cultural identity, understanding of her abilities, and connection to her origins. Together, they were helping Luna become the person she was meant to be. Zara shared incredible stories about Luna's home planet, Kepler, as she called it. She described cities that floated in the clouds, powered by the same healing energy that Luna possessed. She told them about creatures that were part plant and part animal, and about how her people could communicate with nature itself on Kepler. Children like Luna were very special, Zara explained one evening as they all sat by the fireplace. They were called life weavers because they could feel the connection between all living things. Luna would have been trained to help heal not just individuals, but entire ecosystems. Luna's eyes shone with wonder. "Is that why I can feel what animals are thinking? And why plants seem to grow better when I'm around them?" "Yes, little star," Zara said, using a pet name from their language. "Your gift is rare and precious, even on Kepler. Only 1 in 1,000 children were born with such strong life-weaving abilities." Rebecca watched this exchange with mixed emotions. She was proud that Luna was so special, but also worried about what it meant. Does this mean she'll outgrow Earth? Outgrow us? Zara reached over and took Rebecca's hand. "Luna's power comes from love. The more love she has, the stronger she becomes. She could never outgrow the person who taught her how to love." As the months passed, their unusual family found its rhythm. Zara learned to drive Rebecca's old truck and got a job at the local greenhouse, where her knowledge of plants amazed everyone. People in town just thought she was from another country and had different ways of doing things. They had no idea she was literally from another world. Luna continued excelling in school, but now she understood why learning came so easily to her. Zara explained that her people's brains worked differently, allowing them to see patterns and connections that others missed. This knowledge gave Luna confidence. Instead of making her feel like a freak, I used to think I was broken, Luna confided to Rebecca. One night, now I know I'm just different, and different can be wonderful. The three women developed their own traditions. Sunday mornings were for Earth activities, pancakes, cartoons, and trips to town. Sunday evenings were for Kepler stories, where Zara would tell them about her home world while Luna practiced using her abilities. Under her birth mother's guidance, Rebecca found herself fascinated by these lessons. She watched Luna learn to communicate with the plants in their garden, coaxing tomatoes to grow larger and helping sick flowers recover. Under Zara's teaching, Luna's healing abilities became more controlled and precise. Before, I just touched things and hoped they would get better, Luna explained. Now I understand how the energy flows and how to direct it properly. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Sometimes Rebecca felt jealous when she couldn't understand the conversations in Kepler language. Sometimes Zara felt lost trying to navigate human customs and emotions. And sometimes Luna felt torn between two worlds, trying to be the bridge between two very different mothers. The biggest challenge came when Luna's abilities started attracting attention. Dr. Rodriguez at school noticed that plants in Luna's science classroom were growing unusually well. Mrs. Patterson at the library mentioned that her cat, who had been sick for weeks, got better after Luna petted him. People were starting to ask questions. We need to be more careful, Rebecca said during one of their evening talks. Luna's getting stronger, and people are noticing. Zara nodded seriously. On Kepler, we had ways to hide our abilities when necessary. I can teach Luna those techniques, but it means she'll have to hold back her true nature around others. Luna looked sad at this prospect. I don't want to hide who I am anymore. I spent so many years feeling different and alone. Now I understand myself, and I have to pretend again. It was Rebecca who came up with the solution. What if we created a safe space where you don't have to hide, where other people who are different could come and be themselves? Zara's eyes widened with interest. You mean like a sanctuary? Exactly, Rebecca said, her mind racing with possibilities. We have all this land, and people trust us in this community. What if we started small, helping animals and people who need special care? Luna could use her abilities openly, and no one would question it because they'd think it was just really good veterinary medicine. Luna practically bounced with excitement. And if there are other people out there like us, like you, Mom Zara, they could find us too. That night, as they planned their future together, Rebecca realized that her fear of losing Luna had been replaced by excitement about gaining so much more. She wasn't just Luna's mother anymore. She was becoming something entirely new. A protector of the extraordinary, a keeper of cosmic secrets. In the heart of a family that spanned galaxies. Zara reached over and squeezed Rebecca's hand. Thank you for sharing your daughter with me, and thank you for letting me become part of your family. Rebecca squeezed back, looking at Luna, who was drawing pictures of their future sanctuary. Thank you for giving me the most amazing daughter in the universe, and for trusting me to help raise her. Their impossible family was becoming possible, one day at a time. 2 years had passed since Zara knocked on their door that life-changing evening. Now 18, Luna had grown into a confident young woman who moved between her two worlds with grace and purpose. Their small ranch in Montana had transformed into something neither Rebecca nor Zara could have imagined when they first started planning their sanctuary. The official story was simple. Rebecca had expanded her veterinary practice to include a healing retreat for animals and their owners. People came from neighboring towns to bring their sick pets, and somehow, under Luna's gentle care, miraculous recoveries happened regularly. The local newspaper had even written an article calling Luna the girl with magic hands, though they thought it was just natural talent. What the newspaper didn't know was that their property had become a secret refuge for others like Zara and Luna. It had started small. A quiet woman named Vera who appeared one winter night, exhausted and speaking a language that sounded like wind chimes. She had the same ethereal quality as Zara, though her skin had a slight green tint and her eyes changed color with her emotions. She's from a water world, Zara had explained to Rebecca and Luna after Vera fell asleep in their guest room. Her planet was flooded when their moons collided. She's been traveling for 3 years looking for other survivors. Vera had been the first, but she wasn't the last. Word somehow traveled through channels Rebecca didn't understand, and more refugees began finding their way to the ranch. There was Kai, a gentleman whose species could communicate with plants, and twins named Mira and Naya who could heal emotional trauma just by listening to people's stories. Rebecca had worried at first about how to house and feed so many visitors, but Luna and Zara had solutions that amazed her. They built additional cabins using techniques from Zara's world, structures that seemed to grow from the earth itself and stayed perfectly warm. Without any heating system, they created gardens that produced vegetables year-round, even in Montana's harsh winters. How is this possible? Rebecca asked one day, watching Luna coax tomatoes to ripen in December. Love makes everything grow better, Luna said simply. When you care for something with your whole heart, it responds. Mom Zara's people knew this. And now, I'm learning to use that knowledge here on Earth. The transformation in Luna over these 2 years had been remarkable. She had graduated high school early and was now studying both veterinary medicine and what she privately called universal healing arts under Zara's guidance. She was planning to attend college in the fall, but she would always come home to help run their sanctuary. Most importantly, Luna had found peace with her identity. She no longer felt torn between worlds. Instead, she saw herself as a bridge connecting them. She spoke 3 languages fluently now: English, Zara's native Kiplerian, and the universal language of empathy that allowed her to communicate with all the refugees who found them. Rebecca's role had evolved too. She was no longer just a small town veterinarian or even just Luna's adoptive mother. She had become the anchor that kept their otherworldly community grounded in human values of kindness, acceptance, and unconditional love. The refugees looked to her for guidance on how to live peacefully on Earth, and she helped them understand human customs and emotions. You are like a mother to all of us, Vera told Rebecca one evening as they sat on the porch watching the sunset. You teach us that home is not a place, but people who accept you as you are. Zara had found her purpose too. She had become the keeper of stories, documenting the cultures and histories of all the worlds that had been lost. Every evening, she would sit with whoever wanted to share, recording their memories and traditions so they wouldn't be forgotten. She was creating a library of lost civilizations, preserving the heritage of scattered peoples. Someday, there might be others like us who need to remember where they came from. Zara explained to Luna and Rebecca. These stories will help them understand their gifts and their responsibilities. The most beautiful change was in their family dynamics. Luna had legally changed her name to Luna Thompson Zara, honoring both her mothers. The 3 women had developed such a deep bond that neighbors often commented on how they seemed to communicate without words, finishing each other's sentences and moving together with natural harmony. Their evening routine had become a cherished tradition. Every night, weather permitting, they would sit in the backyard with whoever was staying at the sanctuary. Zara would point out constellations from the various home worlds of their guests, while Rebecca shared stories about Earth's history and Luna translated between languages and cultures. That star there, Zara said one evening, pointing to a bright point of light. That's where Vera's people lived before the flood, and that one is close to Kai's home world. Luna added softly, and all of them led you here, to us. Every journey, no matter how painful, brought our family together. The sanctuary had also begun attracting a different kind of visitor, humans, who were struggling with problems that traditional medicine couldn't solve. People with broken hearts, lost souls, and deep emotional wounds found their way to the ranch, drawn by stories of the healing that happened there. Luna worked with these human visitors differently than she did with the refugees. She couldn't heal their physical ailments as dramatically, but she could sense their emotional pain and help them find peace. Many left with a sense of hope they hadn't felt in years, though they never fully understood what made the ranch so special. Dr. Wells from the library had become their unofficial historian, helping Rebecca document their work in ways that would seem normal to any government officials who might ask questions. On paper, They ran a therapeutic animal sanctuary and grief counseling center. In reality, they were probably the most diverse interplanetary community on Earth. As Luna prepared for college that fall, all three women knew their lives would change again. But this time, change didn't feel scary. Luna would study veterinary medicine and psychology, preparing to expand their work to help even more beings. Zara would continue her documentation project and learn to run the sanctuary's day-to-day operations. Rebecca would keep being the heart that held everything together. "I used to think finding you was the end of my story," Zara told Luna one night as they stargazed together. "Now I know it was just the beginning." Luna smiled, taking both her mothers' hands. "We all found each other exactly when we needed to. You found me, Mom found both of us, and now we're all finding our purpose together." Rebecca looked around at their impossible, wonderful life, alien refugees helping with evening chores, gardens growing in defiance of season and climate, and a daughter who bridged worlds with every breath she took. It wasn't the quiet retirement she had once imagined, but it was perfect in ways she never could have dreamed. "You know what the best part is?" Rebecca said, squeezing both their hands. "We're just getting started." Above them, the stars twinkled, like a promise of all the adventures still to come. And their little family that had grown from the impossible continued to reach toward the infinite together.